Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again. In this YouTube NFL prediction segment, I'm going to be giving you my picks and analysis for Week 2 of the 2018 NFL season. Anyway, first game, I'm going to pick the Baltimore Ravens to win on the road over the Cincinnati Bengals. Baltimore had a dominating 47-3 victory over over the Buffalo Bills last week. The ravenous defense looks like it may be coming back. Number one total defense and giving up only 3 points, likely at least tied for number one in scoring defense. Cincinnati Bengals, I mean, last season, many of you may remember, they knocked Baltimore out of the playoffs, basically, and I think Baltimore may be seeking retribution in this one. Cincinnati did look good last week, a solid win over the Indianapolis Colts. It was a good road victory for them. Can they repeat the performance? Well, I could see that it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. But Baltimore right now is just the better team. It was preseason. They did go 5-0 in the preseason, 6-0 right now, counting on 6 straight victories. I think they'll make it 7. So anyway, I like Baltimore on the road. Next game, I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons to win over the Carolina Panthers. Atlanta is at home. Their red zone offense may need a little bit of improvement. It wasn't exactly superlative last week, but I think I see them strongly redeeming themselves. They scored a meager 12 points last week. The offense looked practically anemic, but Carolina, they looked good last week. Not great. They scored 18 points last week. When you have the combination of Cam Newton and Greg Olsen, you would think they'd put up a little more than that. I know a win is a win. It was a home victory. I think they could have done a little bit better than that. The tiebreaker is Atlanta's at home. I like Atlanta to win at home. Next game, I'm going to take the LA Chargers to win on the road over the Buffalo Bills. LA Chargers right now, number one in total offense. They did lose last week. They just right now have a much better offense than the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills just really, last week they played abysmally. They looked like it was about the worst performance, I think, of all the teams last week. Buffalo was demoralized last week. They have just managed 153 total yards of offense. The one positive with them is they had 165 return yards, which is number one in the NFL. But the thing about them is they right now, they lost a lot of players from last season. I think they're might be in some kind of reclamation mode, and they don't turn things around soon. It could be a very long season for them. I like the Chargers on the road. Next game, I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers at home to win over the Minnesota Vikings. I understand quarterback Aaron Rodgers, his status right now is questionable, but they had the miraculous come from behind victory last week. It was one of the best performances Aaron Rodgers put on. Aaron Rodgers was questioned whether he'd play on Sunday, and he responded yes. I do like his prospects in playing. Minnesota, the quarterback Kirk Cousins had a very good debut for Minnesota. It's a good home win for them last week. They have a good receiving core with Stephon Diggs and company. And Minnesota, many are picking them to win that division. It should be a very good contest between the two. I am going to go with Aaron Rodgers playing in this one. Green Bay at home, I like them in a tight one to win over the Minnesota Vikings. The defense in Green Bay did show some resolve last week in the second half, and I think it could continue in this one against the Minnesota Vikings. I will take Green Bay at home. Next game, I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans. Actually take the Houston Texans to win on the road over the Tennessee Titans. I would like to pick the Titans, but right now they just seem like they are riddled with injuries, and Marcus Mariota may not play. You have Delaney Walker out for the season, and Tennessee, they lost a game last week. I thought they certainly had potential to win against the Miami Dolphins, and they did not get it done. Houston comes in right now with Merciless and J.J. Watt, Deshaun Watson. They came off a loss last week, but it was against the New England Patriots. It was a very competitive game. Houston has won 6 of the last 8 against the Tennessee Titans. They have dominated this series in recent time. So based on right now, just a personnel standpoint, I do like the Houston Texans to go in and get this done. So I'm picking the Texans to win on the road. Next game, I'm going to pick the New Orleans Saints to win at home over the Cleveland Browns. I think New Orleans is going to redeem themselves after their poor performance last week. Their running game did not look great, and I mean, given up 48 points, this was a team that I felt had prided themselves on being a little bit more diversified and really just better at just various positions. But they did not show it last week in losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And, I mean, that was a very surprising game for me to watch. I mean, not to watch, but as far as the outcome goes. Now, the Cleveland Browns, I mean, they got a little swagger back. They did technically end their losing streak. I mean, they're still at a winless streak because they tied the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they showed some resolve and resiliency in that game, coming back from 14 points down late in the game. The team may very well be revitalized. They are +5 turnover differential, though, after just 1 week. But they can make this game maybe a little closer than some people think. They gave the Pittsburgh Steelers all they can handle. I do like the Saints to come back and win this. I don't think the Saints really want to give the Browns their first victory in like whatever it's 18 games or whatever it is, whatever the streak is at this point, and it would be very demeaning and demoralizing to them. I don't see it happening. Saints being at home, they will play. Defense will be better than it was last week, and I picked them to win. So anyway, well, the next game, wow, I'm going to take the Jets at home to beat the Miami Dolphins. We're going to find out whether this team's a flash in the pan or not. Jets, I mean, put up 48 points last week. They had a lot of just completely very big plays for a lot of yardage, whether it was a kickoff or punt return, whatever it was. I mean, guy tight-roping it on the sidelines, getting into the end zone. They had a number of interceptions there. Right now it's early, but they're number 1 in run defense. And also, I mean, Sam Darnold looks like he really, again, the resolve word, he came back after throwing that 1 interception. The team just looked very good in all facets. And you look at Miami Dolphins. Now, I felt like they superseded and surpassed expectations for last week. I did not think they were going to beat the Tennessee Titans. They got it done. They're a team. Ryan Tannehill, I mean, obviously, I mean, he's very good. I don't know if he's a great quarterback, but still adequate, very good quarterback. This is a divisional game. It'll probably be close. But I'm going to take the Jets at home. I think if their defense can show up and play well in this one, and at least come close to the way it played last week, they have a good chance to win. I think they have some confidence. It was just one game. Have a little confidence and swagger. I'm going to take the Jets to win this one at home. Next game, I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers to win at home over the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I mean, Pittsburgh obviously squandered a very good opportunity to win last week. That should have been a win that they should have just really not say automatically have gotten, but pretty close to it. I mean, I understand the Browns and them have played a number of competitive games in recent time, but that still, there was no excuse for them to squander a 14-point win. Le'Veon Bell there or not. TJ Watt is number 1 in the NFL in sacks with 4, but Pittsburgh is -5 in turnover differential. Obviously, they're going to have to take a little better care of the ball in this one. Otherwise, Kansas City, I believe, will beat them. Kansas City right now, they're playing against an angry Pittsburgh team. Kansas City is 2-4 in the last 6 road games. They also have, I mean, Anthony Hitchens is 15 tackles, one of the leaders in the NFL. Kareem Hunt, I mean, they have a Mr. Versatility. They still have a very talented team. I mean, this has been a very good regular season team for a number of years. But I am going to take Pittsburgh to bounce back and win this game against the Kansas City Chiefs. I expect Ben Roethlisberger and company to play much better than they did in the previous week. And I mean, Le'Veon Bell may be back, especially if he's back. That should obviously augment their chances of winning. I like Pittsburgh at home. Next game. I want to take the Philadelphia Eagles to win on the road against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, This is becoming a vaunted Eagles defense. The defense seems to just bail them out time and time again. The Eagles have a propensity to win very ugly, but they still get it done. Quarterback Nick Foles only has one loss since he took over for Carson Wentz last season. He didn't look stellar in the preseason, but he's going to play good enough to get him the victory, I believe. Now, Tampa Bay at home, they came up a very impressive win last week. Ryan Fitzpatrick was called Fitzmagic by one of the coaches on the team and put in 48 points. Can they replicate what they did 2 weeks in a row? And if Tampa Bay somehow pulls this out, though, people are going to be like, Jameis who? So I made... You understand, it could be one of the bigger surprises of the NFL if the Bucs win this game, beat the defending Super Bowl champions, and start off 2-0. It's hard for me to envision that happening, so I'm going to take the Eagles to win on the road. Next game, I'm going to take the Washington Redskins to win at home over the Indianapolis Colts. Washington amassed 182 rushing yards last week. They're number one in time of possession. I think if they could just dominate the clock and control the ball, they have a good chance to win. They are at home. Indianapolis, will they have better luck this week? They may, but they were 1-7 on the road in 2017, 5-11 on the road the last 2 seasons. The Indianapolis offense last week did look okay. It looked adequate. If they're a little bit better this week, they can win this one. But I'm going to go with the Washington Redskins to keep this going. I think they're going to play very well. They'll dominate time of possession and win this game. Anyway, next game. I'm going to take the LA Rams to win at home over the Arizona Cardinals. LA had a very impressive performance in the 33-13 rout of the Raiders. They withstood the early rush of the Raiders. They showed the resilience of being able to come back and understand that the game is a certain amount of minutes. It's not just a few minutes. It's very. You're talking about a 60-minute game, not 15. And the Rams obviously understand that. Rod Gurley played very well. Arizona, on the other hand, put in one of the worst performances of all the NFL teams last week. They allowed 182 rushing yards, which is number 32 run defense right now, though it's early, just only 1 week. Wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald, he seems like he's about the only really good bright spot on this team right now. Sam Bradford was obviously going to have to play much better if Arizona has a chance to win. They're going on the road against an LA Rams team who many are picking to actually at least go to the Super Bowl, if not win it. So I do like the Rams to emerge victorious at home. Next game. I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers to win at home over the Detroit Lions. San Francisco, they had their streak ended. They had 5 consecutive wins going into that game, going as far as last season goes. So much for Jimmy Garoppolo having a flawless winning percentage or one-loss record or what have you. Now, I think in this particular game, they just need to cut the turnovers down. Detroit, they obviously did not look great last week. Last in rushing offense, they had a number of turnovers. On the one positive with Detroit, they have the fewest penalty yards on them, but a lot of that was attributed to the fact they did not have that many snaps on the offensive end. Last week they were not. The Jets obviously completely dominated them. But going with San Francisco, I do like them to come back and win at home. I think San Francisco is going to be much better than they were last season. I think they get that started in this particular game. In Detroit right now, really as far as injuries go, they have a number of players that aren't going to be 100%. I do like, and they are on the road. I do like the 49ers to win at home. Next game. Well, I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos to win at home over the Oakland Raiders. Denver pulled out a victory, a very tough one against the Seattle Seahawks last week. The defense, I think, will be a little bit better in this one. It probably will have to be to beat Oakland, but Oakland, to me, did not really look overly impressive last week. They had 155 penalty yards assessed against them, which was number 1 in the NFL. And Oakland had that one good opening drive in that game last week against the Rams, but that was basically it. They couldn't generate much offense after that. And I mean, John Gruden, they did give him a 10-year contract. They do anticipate. I mean, he's basically got 10 years to revive or resuscitate this franchise or what have you. But at the same time, after 3 years, I mean, people, and if they're not really, if they're not, they don't look like they're contenders. Who knows what may actually happen with him? But that being said, John Gruden is a great coach, I believe. They might play better. I think they're going to play better this week, but I think Denver in their defense is going to get the job done. They are at home. I like the Broncos to win. Next game. Next game, I'm going to take the New England Patriots on the road to defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars. New England is 22-3 in the conference right now. They are, I mean, at this point in time, I don't really see 22-3 in the conference in the last 25 games. Now, Tom Brady obviously is going to contradict Max Kellerman. He's not falling off the cliff anytime soon. I don't envision it this season. And Tom Brady is basically defying Father Time. He is a specimen. Rob Gronkowski is still going to be his old self, I believe. They both played very well last week. And cornerback Jalen Ramsey, I mean, I like to see if he's going to be doing any trash talking against Tom Brady and company this week, because he might very well eat his words if that happened. And Jacksonville, I mean, number of people, I mean, are seeing them as right now as like a perennial contender to win, to go to the Super Bowl anyway, and really maybe one of the favorites to come out of the AFC. But they barely got by the Giants last week. It was a very close game, and to me, they're obviously going to have to play much better if they have a chance to beat New England. They did lose to New England in the playoffs last season. I could see history repeating itself. New England's much more, I mean, they got people on there that are much more experienced in these games that really are very significant. Even though it's early, it's a regular season game, I see it as important because this game later on could even have a strong impact on home field advantage if these two finish with comparable records or say identical records at the end of the season. So I do like New England to win this. So anyway, next game, I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys to win at home against the New York Giants. Now, last week, I mean, Dallas, I mean, their offense looked, I mean, deplorable. They only had like 8 points in the game. Running back Ezekiel Elliott, according to Stephen A. Smith, only had 1 touch in the last 5 minutes. Now, considering that Dallas is depleted, it seems like in the receiving department, I mean, they're going to have to they're going to have Ezekiel Elliott have much more touches with that, and whether it's at the latter part of the game or just total overall. Now, the New York Giants, I mean, now they're at a point, I mean, they only scored 15 points last week. They've gone over 30 straight games not attaining 30 points. Is this offense ever going to be rejuvenated? Now, Saquon Barkley may help them at some point, but I mean, he can't do it by himself. He had like 106 rushing yards last week, but it just wasn't quite, I mean, that just wasn't quite enough for them to get the job done. The receivers are going to have to play better collectively, and I think, I mean, Dallas being at home, the fact that Dallas is still a team where some see that they could make the postseason, and the Giants right now, they might be in really kind of a reclamation mode, and they are on the road. So I'm going to take Dallas to win at home. Last but not least, well, I'm actually going to go with the Chicago Bears to win at home over the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, Chicago has Mac on their team right now. I think he will help a defense that actually was not putrid last season. The defense actually was not that bad last season. And I think, I mean, their quarterback did play. It was solid last week, but it was a tale of two halves. He played well in the first half, but really not so much in the second half. Green Bay came back and dominated the second half, of course, and just going to be about consistency with this offense because the defense is going to be very good, I believe, this season. And Seattle, on the other hand, a team that was a perennial playoff contender, lost to Denver last week. And it's a team where the defense has been dismantled. They lost a number of defensive players, including Richard Sherman. They allowed 470 yards last week. It's so uncharacteristic of a Pete Carroll Seattle Seahawks team. And I don't think they're going to give up that many yards this week to the Bears, but they may give up, 350, 400 yards, and it's going to be very telling, I think, in the outcome of this game. I do like the Bears to win this one at home. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube NFL prediction segment for my Week 2 2018 NFL picks and analysis. And until next time, people, Edwin Leonard saying, stay well.